long-term relationship ended in 2017. Somewhat, but absolutely not entirely, due to being overworked and in a rut.
It was not a fun time. It kind of fell apart. So my partner and I, we worked at St. John's and we met at St. John's. And then in 2018, he ended it. And it's interesting too because, and this is a contextual factor that you'll need to include, I have very little discernment of time between 2015 and 2019. You know, you could play a record on repeat and it could be at any point at that time. And I think it's a bit of a reflection of where I was at with my mental health, with my own well-being.
So what made you take time off?
The key defining factor would be personal relationship breakdown. I was feeling like I can't blame work entirely, but school productions was taking all of my time, and I'd go home grumpy and tired, which wasn't fair on him. Add that to the irreconcilable differences, and it ended.
I ended up in a relationship with a staff member at the school, which was kept professional, and then we ended up buying this house together and all that, and then it was pretty hard breakup. When she left all of a sudden.
I probably at school had some very successful looking years that obviously weren't, because everything fell apart. Personally, hated everything. But at school, all smiles.
I think probably the state of my relationship, it was just literally like Groundhog Day. Every year, I taught 3 Year 12 psychology classes. Every single year, I was head of house and I was doing an okay job, but I wasn't happy and I wasn't my best self, and I also wasn't happy at school. I was having a few challenges with some members of staff, and it fell to pieces, and it was the end of the year when the relationship officially ended.
I started this gardening club. A few kids would come to the school who were just lads and didn't fit in the yard. Also, I mean, you know what it's like when you're in class, the kids have no idea what you're going through, and then you're crying behind closed doors and picking yourself up and going again. So gardening was something that was a passion of mine as well, so it kind of, even though it was supporting the kids, it was probably for me in a way at the time, because it was pretty.
So he and I were working together, and I thought at the time, I think this is going to be my last year at St. John's, and I think it's now or never, and that was a massive crossroads for me. It was December, I'd also turned 30, and we've been together for 10 years. I turned 30, I'd been at St. John's for, I got my 10 years of service that year, and so did he, and no one knew that we'd broken up. I had to collect his award. You know those funny, hilarious things that aren't so hilarious, but are in hindsight? I think that was a big turning point. I think it's all good now.
She left the school at the end of the year, and then the breakup happened in the very start of the next year. But I inherited half her class from the previous year. Sorry, it was really hard. And because we had a dog together, beautiful Rottweiler, he used to come to school frequently. The kids knew we were together. Sorry, it was really hard.
But then I met my new partner. We're still together. It's our 3-year anniversary next week, which is lovely.
We separated. And it turned out to be the best thing ever.
That was back then, but now I'm happily married at the end of last year. Yeah, so it's all come full circle. But yeah, it was pretty hard period in the middle. Yeah. I oversee a lot of the graduates with their registration stuff. Probably one of the things I like about the registration stuff is probably the only time I ever talk about having a little breakdown. Just so that because I think they're feeling the same things.
What would have made you leave?
If we didn't have enough support for teachers. I have the most amazing team, and within this team I have amazing friends. We're all very much on the same level. In the year that I was hired, we hired 5 other graduates, and then the following year we hired 7 new graduates, so there were so many of us freshies. But at the same time, it's really nice to know that we're in the same boat.
Me and my close circle of friends, like something like we do, we sit around and we're like, how are we still doing this? We are so burnt out, so exhausted. We're in a book club together, so we catch up, which is lovely. And in the last, 8 years, one friend completely left education.
Within 3 months, I'd quit. Hey, B, has it been 3 months yet? You know that's my quitting point.
I hadn't really built up any relationships. I didn't get to know anyone. No one was in the staff room at lunchtimes. The only numbers I had in my phone were leadership and my team. I didn't actually know anyone else. And then, came back here. I think it's just one of those things you don't know it until you're not in that environment. Like, I didn't realise how important it was having friends at work. You don't know what your work-life balance is going to be like with the expectations and that sort of thing. So, having that taken away from me to go somewhere I didn't know anyone.
It was very easy to walk away. There were few people I had absolutely no issue of walking away from. I've got some really dear friends there that I worked with that I still see, but there are a few of them I was like, okay, see you later.
And another friend completely left, and she went into the tourism industry the year before the pandemic, the poor thing. So she had to come back and do CRT, and she's just like, every day I do a day of CRT, I am reaffirmed that I will never ever work full-time as a teacher ever again. And we're so jealous of her. Maybe one day we'll give up.
So my all-time favourite team, I had a great one the year before, but this year I have my graduate teacher who is like my work sister. Then I've got my work mum and my work auntie, and they're in their 60s, and we go out for lunch together and drinks together, and we just all get along.
I think the people around you are the biggest factor. And I just think if you don't have the right people around you, then there's a high chance that you could think, I'm going to leave. But then you're leaving these guys behind. And even on really bad days, I've fought to come to work to see them. So I think that's a big factor.